Okay, here we have another example similar to the things that we saw in section 3.4. So this function we have broken into three pieces. We've got the left piece, the center piece, and the right piece. And we're going to work through graphing this. So again, identify what each piece is. We've got a line on the left, diagonal line. In the center we have an absolute value, which should be a V shape. So we've got part of a V shape. And then on the right we've got a different line. So a diagonal line, part of a V shape, and part of another diagonal line. All right, I'm going to color code this one, so hopefully that helps you follow along. So the left piece is going to be in blue. So we're trying to graph a line up to -2, and it's going to end at -2 with a closed dot because it's included. So we've got a closed dot at -2, and we need to plug that in to figure out what the y value is. So we plug that into this piece right here to figure out what our y value is. So that gives us 4 plus 1 would be 5. So our closed dot is at -2, +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. -2, 5. Okay, now we know that this is a diagonal line. We know that it's got to go to the left, but we don't know where to draw it. We don't know where to draw it. So if you're good with the slope, you can use the slope. That can be a little bit tricky going to the left, though. So if you're not sure, we can just plug in another point and see where to draw this. So we want any point that's to the left of -2. We could do -3, -4, -5, whatever you want as long as it's going to the left. All right, so I'm going to do this off to the side here because I'm going to run out of space. So let's say we plug in -3, and I'm still on this left piece. I'm going to plug this in up here. So when I plug that in, I'm going to get -2 times -3 plus 1, and I get +7. So I get the point -3, 7. Now that's not an end point, that's just another point that is on this line, so I know where to draw it. So -3, 7 would be right there. And now I can see exactly where I need to draw this line. And it's going to keep going forever in that direction. Okay, so we've got our closed dot, and we've got our line going in the direction that we know it's supposed to go. All right, so left piece is done. We've got our line going to the left. Now the center part, we know that absolute value looks like a V, and it should come down to 0, 0. We've got to figure out where to stop and start it, though. Let's do this in red. Okay, so on this end, we've got an open dot at -2. And when we plug that in, we're plugging it into the absolute value, and we remember that absolute value makes us positive. So we get the point -2, +2. -2, +2, and that is an open dot. All right, on the other side of this, we have an open dot at 1. Open at 1. And when we plug that in, absolute value 1 is just 1. So we get the point 1, 1. So we have another open dot at 1, 1. Okay, so we have an absolute value. We have the two open dots at either end, so we know where to stop it. And we know that this is V shape coming down to 0, 0. So we can go ahead and fill this in, coming down to 0, 0 and back up again. Okay, so we're not going to connect these two because it's not a line. We have to fill it in with the shape that we know, which is zeros, which comes down to 0, 0 and makes a V. All right, so that's our second piece done. That's our V shape going between -2 and +1. All right, the last piece, let's do this in green. We have another diagonal line, and it's going to the right, starting at 1. So we've got a closed dot at 1. And when we plug that into this piece now, 1 minus 2, we get -1. So we've got a closed dot at 1, -1. All right, now we know that this needs to go to the right. So we need to know where to draw this. We don't know if to draw it up, to draw it down, to draw it to the side. Well, we know it's not horizontal, we know it's diagonal. So we need another point to figure this out. Now going to the right is a little bit easier to use the slope. The slope is 1, that says up 1 over 1. So this one you could use the slope for, or you can just plug in another point. So anything to the right, let's say we plug in x equals 2. Oops, not -2, +2. Let's say we plug in 2. And I'm plugging this into the third piece. So when I plug 2 in here, I get 2 minus 2 is 0. And so that means we have the point 2, 0. Okay, you would have gotten the same thing if you had used the slope. So now we see where to draw this, and we know that it goes on forever and ever to the right. So we go through that. Okay, well that doesn't look very straight, but you get the idea. It's kind of hard to draw on this tablet. Let me see if I can do a little bit better. Still a little bit wobbly, but you get the idea. Okay, so there we go. So there's our closed dot, and there's our line going to the right. So double check, we should have line, V, line. We've got line, V, and line. So we've got this all drawn, and we are done.